Now, Kirchhoff, who was a Capitol police officer for 4.5 years, left the department in mid-2021. Right after January 6th. And where did she go? The CIA! It could start to unravel the carefully crafted, zealously defended Democrat narrative like Capitol police officers were murdered. What? No, they weren't. Natural causes, Brian Sicknick, and the others were suicides. What is the open investigation? Well, we have a file in a burn bag that we've tucked in a closet somewhere at the back of headquarters, but it's still open. Is anybody working on it? No, clearly. Well, actually, we can't talk about that, so sorry. Yes, a lot of people are working on it. Can't talk about it. It's open investigation. Ridiculous. The J6 pipe bomber may have been discovered. All of this just allegations, courtesy of our friends at The Blaze, but Steve Baker has been digging on this one for a while and feels confident with this new report that is identifying this woman, a former Capitol Hill police officer, as the individual, according to gate analysis, was the person who dropped those maybe non-functional pipe bombs off outside the RNC and the DNC right before January 6th. So we're going to go through the report, and then I've got this being covered by Thomas Massey and the former Capitol Hill chief of police, Stephen Sund, is also talking about this. So people who were directly involved in January 6th, who were blamed and scapegoated, like the former Capitol Hill chief of police, Stephen Sund, is talking about this. Former FBI officials like Kyle Seraphin, people who worked over there, all discussing it in this report. You can see written by Steve Baker, Joseph M. Hanneman from The Blaze, saying this person is a forensic match. And we've watched this video so many times. We were even contemplating that it was a female walking around just based on our amateur observations, or somebody with a little bit of extra, bubble in their step as they're turning the corner, a little hip sway we saw. We're like, okay, it's a little strange. Had a little bit of a different gait than a male would, and our first instinct was it was male. Also, we know that the height's 5'7", so a little bit of a shorter individual, and now apparently it's this person. All allegations, of course. We haven't heard from this individual, and we have not seen any official confirmation from the DOJ or the FBI, although we have those X accounts queued up, so we'll see if there's anything new on that. But here is the full report. They say a computer program that compared the bomb suspect's gait, so how they're walking, to that of Shawnee Kirchhoff, the woman we just saw in the photos, produced a 94% match. And we know 100% unequivocally that the gait analysis is a real thing because it was in that one movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called True Lies, one of the best movies ever made. But here, according to the Blaze News investigation, a forensic analysis says 94 to 98% match to the unique stride of the long-sought J6 pipe bomber. And apparently this woman has a unique gait because she broke her leg coming up. A source close to a congressional investigation of January 6 additionally told Blaze News evidence has emerged recently that pointed toward law enforcement possibly being involved in the planning of the bombs. They put this all through a software algorithm that analyzes walking parameters, including flexion, the knee bend, hip extension, speed, step length, cadence, variance. It all rated Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff, she's age 31, of Alexandria, Virginia, as a 94% match to the bomb suspect shown from J5. The veteran analyst who read the analysis for Blaze News said that based on visual observations the program can struggle with, he personally looked at it and said, oh yeah, that's her, 98%. Now, Kirchhoff, who was a Capitol police officer for 4.5 years, left the department in mid-2021. Right after January 6th. And where did she go? The CIA! That's what sources are telling Blaze News. You go, oh, you mean the same CIA that rigged the intelligence community assessment? Yeah. That was presented to Obama, and then they created Crossfire Hurricane and smeared Trump? Yeah. You mean the same CIA that authored, through their official sources, with guys like Mike Morrell and others, the 51 laptop letter that had all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation? You mean that same CIA that already rigged multiple events in America that we have confirmed? Maybe. They were involved in this one too. Yeah. Sources told The Blaze. Now, in that job, she reportedly serves on dignitary protection teams for officials, including the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and others. Now, her residence in Alexandria, Virginia, right near DC, appeared to be under the watch of law enforcement officers on Friday night. Blaze News editor-in-chief, called Christopher Bedford, shout out, was pulled over by local police after stopping by to say, oh, what's going on over here? He was allowed to leave. So the cops are outside her house. The FBI, which failed to solve the case for nearly 5 years, but indicated that it was closing in after the Blaze News brought its investigation information to intelligence sources. Like, oh crap, they know? So do we. Yeah, we're getting super close. Shoot, when are you publishing your article? Great, thanks. Brought its investigation, says it was feet from the Falls Church address of the pipe bomb suspect days after January 6, according to the Blaze News investigation, saying former FBI agent Kyle Seraphin also realized Friday that he was doing surveillance next door to the woman now suspected of being the bomber. He said, the FBI put us one door away from the pipe bomber within days of January 6, and we were deliberately pulled away for no logical or logically investigative reason. And everything about that tells me they were involved in a cover-up and have been since day one. And we were all asking questions about the video that they released of the pipe bomber that seemingly had like every other frame removed from it. And people were doing analysis on that. They said, what kind of camera has like a 7 frames per second frame rate? Making up numbers, but do any of them? No, right? People are looking around. I can't find, like, why was this video released according to this frame rate, which is, you know, like very slow. We watched like this person sitting down on some of the best cameras outside the most protected buildings on the planet. You can't even see anything. So why'd they do that? But they were effing in on it, said Seraphin. He proposed doing a knock and talk at the door of the Air Force civilian employee whose address was tied to a vehicle that picked up the bomb suspect in Virginia. His team spent 2 days watching the man, but Seraphin's request to go face to face with the person of interest was denied. The team was pulled off the case the same night. Seraphin said he's been given some details publicly since 21. He said there's a personal reaction to this, which is the complete vindication that the things I've been saying in my recollection of being briefed on this stuff has been accurate for years, and I've never changed my tune. Yeah, and it's a cover-up if they also, somebody deleted the cell phone records. Remember, it was corrupted. We're requesting it. It got corrupted. Nobody knows what happened to it. The FBI tied a DC Metro Smart Trip card allegedly used by the pipe bomb suspect to an Air Force civilian employee, but determined that while the man purchased the card, he did not use it. The suspect used the card to travel from DC to a stop in Falls Church after the bombs. Air Force civilian employee had purchased a Smart Trip card a year earlier. Now, the forensic study that was arranged by the Blaze News revealed that Kirchhoff, this woman, is up to a 98% match to the gait of the pipe bomb suspect. The findings were confirmed by several current intelligence sources who viewed the study results. The source who did the comparison said the software rated the match at 94%. He put the figure closer to 96 to 98, including a combination of human intelligence and software. Samples of her gait were taken from the J6 Capitol Police CCTV security video and compared to unedited video of the hoodie wearing suspect walking through an alley near C Street to place an alleged pipe bomb behind the Capitol Hill Club at 8:16 p.m. on January 5th. Two sources familiar with gait analysis who viewed the video comparison and the software analysis told Blaze News that they concurred the video samples match the gait of the gray hoodie wearing suspect right there. In that video, when this woman turns this corner, this was the most, I think, revealing video. And I don't think they have any video on this article, but looks just like kind of swaying the hips as she's walking. Turns the corner like, wow, definitely a woman who's carrying that, which was a little bit of a surprise. The mystery of the pipe bomb was hung over January 6th for 5 years. The FBI said an unknown subject placed pipe bombs under a park bench, right where Kamala was driving, coming to and fro, and near the RNC. Discovery of the devices between 12:40 and 1:05 p.m. respectively on J6 drew already depleted resources away from the Capitol, just as a huge crowd breached the grounds. All because it was an operation. It was a training exercise. A joint session of Congress convened at 1 p.m. and to take up challenges, Kirchhoff was a Capitol Police officer from 18 until mid-2021. She was a member of the Civil Disturbance Unit and a training officer on the use of less lethal crowd control weapons that were extensively used on J6 crowds. And they were attacking the J6ers. Blaze News reported Wednesday on Capitol Police surveillance video showing Kirchhoff and other officers repeatedly using lethal force on the J6 crowd, using less than lethal weapons. At least 16 members of the early crowd were shot above the waistline with kinetic impact projectiles filed from above on the lower West Terrace. Blaze News approached numerous intelligence officials 2 weeks ago with questions about the findings, which said that Kirchhoff matched the description and the behavior of the bomber based on her distinctive walk, slight limp because she broke her leg playing soccer, 5'7" frame, and other factors. We have conducted all logical investigative steps, is a quote. Now, footage of the suspect walking with the backpack the night at J5 was compared to J6 security video of Officer Kirchhoff in various places on Capitol grounds, and footage of her playing professional soccer back in 2017. The pipe bomb video that Blaze News used in its analysis was not the footage released by the FBI. A video sleuth embarked on a more than a year-long investigation. He told the Blaze News the footage made public by the FBI was manipulated to downsample the frame rate, which we all suspected. We're watching it. Why do these cameras not function? It looks like it was recorded with like a potato or like a Nokia from like 2004. Says, although it shows the same scene seen as the FBI, the clip used by the blaze came from another source and is demonstrably clearer with much smoother motion. Like, it's a big question on that. What is that source? And, like, was the bad video put through some enhancement or something? Or is it just the unmanipulated video? And why'd they release the manipulated video to us and then suddenly can't find the cell phone data and all the things? Now, former Capitol Hill Chief of Police Stephen Sund told Blaze News he's eager to learn the results of this, but he has no awareness, the former guy running the agency, no awareness of any Capitol Police officer involvement in the pipe bombing. 2 locations. This was the one where Kamala drove by, and then this was the one where near the RNC, near the laundry room, really. And again, it was a 60-minute timer. The bombs were dropped off the night before. So how is that going to work? I had no knowledge that it was being carried out, nor that they were carrying it out with any authorization from my office, said Stephen Sund. I'm unaware of any legitimate reason that any Capitol Police or law enforcement officer would be involved in the planting of those pipe bombs, other than to cause a diversion. The possible solution to the pipe bomb mystery could have far-reaching reverberations, no doubt. Several officials familiar with the investigative efforts said a new work is being urgently needed, we need it, to see whether there were co-conspirators who aided and abetted. Yeah, the FBI did. And to learn if federal agencies and employees knew who was involved and participated in the cover-up. The FBI's faced questions over this $490,000 reward, but here, have this fake video, along with $10,000 from the Metro Police. FBI Director Ray, oh yeah, we investigated it. In testimony, Ray said, January 6th was because of white supremacists. The prospect of a Capitol Police officer being the perpetrator could recast the entire story. No kidding. It could start to unravel the carefully crafted, zealously defended Democrat narrative like Capitol Police officers were murdered. What? No, they weren't. Natural causes, Brian Sicknick, and the others were suicides. At the same time, the FBI was not solving the pipe bomb mystery. It was carrying out the largest investigation in history to go after everyone else. Now, the Secret Service and their response also drew fire. Thomas Massey's been screaming about it. Agents stayed in their SUV eating lunch for 2 minutes before getting out to investigate. Like, man, my food's gonna get cold, man. They stood feet from the bomb and allowed pedestrians to walk by. 2 weeks ago, Blaze reported on the year-long investigation of the video sleuth. A user known as Armitas on social media said the videos released by the FBI had been manipulated to reduce the frame rate. He also provided evidence the pipe bomber first tried to plant the devices outside the Congressional Black Caucus Institute. Shortly after the report, the FBI released higher quality footage of the pipe bomb suspect. Oh, crap. Okay, go give him more of the real one. He said he believes the devices planted next to the bench was retrieved at 4:40 a.m. on January 6th and replaced shortly before or nearly simultaneously to discovery of the bomb at 1:05. The device appears to have been broken by the bomb suspect outside the institute. Much of the public discussion, which is all interesting, in this case dealt with the rare Nike Air Max Speed Turf sneakers that they wore, and they were trying to backtrace the shoe. Armitage said he believed the suspect knew to take a mini shortcut at the corner after planting the second bomb behind the Capitol Hill Club. Gait analysis software can get accurate results even if the suspect is walking at a faster than normal speed. It can also recognize gait on a video shot from a long distance. It does not require the kind of video resolution needed for facial recognition, the analyst said. The bombing suspect's head was covered by a hoodie and a face mask because of COVID. But the jerky motion seen on the video released by the FBI would normally make gait analysis difficult, which is why they cut out all the frames. And this has been stalled forever. Massey asking questions, Christopher Wray lying through his teeth about it, of course, as we know. Now, 13 months before taking office, FBI director said maybe the pipe bombs were fake, and she broke her leg in a sporting accident. So Kirchhoff was born in 1993 in Ohio, youngest of 3 daughters. Someone died of pancreatic cancer. Among her skills, she said she can solve a Rubik's Cube in less than a minute, completed the Boston Marathon in 3 hours. Kirchhoff attended Orange County High School, 20 miles north of Columbus, starting varsity goalie for 4 years, second team All-State honors, and she was a goalie for 6 years. She went on to play and won academic honors. Lots of background. Here's some other people, 2 Capitol Police counter surveillance officers walking around the building. She got into a serious injury. Scream. I knew it was instantly serious. During a game, somebody's midfielder. She underwent 5 hours of surgery at Pennsylvania for a broken tibia, one of the 2 bones running from the knee to the ankle. Her mom later said, I knew it was probably over. Now, she suddenly faced an end of her career. It left her with a limp, a slight limp, the injury and the repair in her right leg. That would become a fateful thing a decade later because we could see her limp in her movements. The season-ending injury ended up being a blessing. She ended up getting a partnership with the National Park Service, became a park ranger, and then it was accelerated, and she was very happy. She's like, I'm happy I got my leg broken because I've got my current job. Then she was hired by the Capitol Police, 2018. She testified in a J6 criminal trial that she applied for her current job before J6 and left the police in good standing. And she testified in trial. May have planted the bombs, causing the diversion, causing people to go into the building after getting shot in the face and then goes and testifies against them. Thomas Massey said, "This is the biggest scandal of my lifetime. Steve Baker did what an $11 billion agency, the FBI, could not do. Or worse yet, covered up. Probably that. He identified the J6 bomber and she wasn't working alone, clearly. FBI Director Cash needs to make a statement today when this breaks, and it's broken." He also said, "I was the only member of Congress to question FBI Director Wray, ATF Director Dadelbach, Assistant FBI Director of the DC office about the sketchy circumstances about this. Turns out it was every bit as bad as I expected. The rot goes deep," right? And now she's over at the CIA. Kyle Seraphin, who you heard in the article, said, "A woman who testified in court about J6, who worked for the Congressional Praetorian Guard, who somehow passed a CIA polygraph despite having left pipe bombs around DC on Jan 5, has been able to elude an $11 billion investigative agency that offered a $500,000 reward for 5 years." Shout out to Steve. Presuming that this is accurate, it looks accurate. I mean, she fits the story perfectly. It's a training operation. She comes in, plants these things, walks around. FBI covers up all the cell data. FBI covers up the video footage. They come testify about it. "No, I do." She goes, works for the CIA. Whole thing's perfect. So I'm sure there's many more people involved in it. But Thomas says, "America is waking up today to learn the Capitol Police turned CIA orchestrated the pipe bombs on J6. And if they did that, what else did they do? And the FBI has covered it up for 4 years. I questioned Wray about this. All of them played dumb. They didn't even care. And now we're supposed to trust that the FBI is like going to do a great job with the Butler investigation or the Charlie Kirk investigation or whatever." Here's Massey. This cover-up's been going on for years, and this is a little bit of Massey getting into it with Christopher Wray and Stephen DeAntonio. Remember him? Other dude who was lying.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes. I thank the chairman. Director Wray, in light of information provided to us about the FBI's investigation of the January 6th pipe bombs, in an interview with Assistant Director Stephen DeAntonio, Chairman Jordan and I sent you a letter a month ago. Some of the information that we found in that interview was that phone data that could have helped to identify the pipe bomber was corrupted. Was unusable. He also wasn't sure who found or how the second bomb was found at the DNC. Do you know how the second bomb was found at the DNC? And when do you plan on answering our letter?
Well, as to the letter, I will work with the department to make sure we can figure out what information we can provide. As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that, but we will do
we
our
can
best
handle
to
classified information, and we fund your department, and so you need to provide that.
Respectfully, it's not an issue of classification. It's an issue of commenting on ongoing criminal investigation.
And that's their other stupid tactic, is they just say, "Oh, it's an open investigation. We can't talk about it." What is the open investigation? Well, we have a file in a burn bag that we've tucked in a closet somewhere at the back of headquarters, but it's still open. Is anybody working on it? No, clearly. Well, actually, we can't talk about that. So sorry. Yes, a lot of people are working on it. Can't talk about it. It's open investigation. Ridiculous. They weren't doing anything. They were covering up for years. Here's Stephen Sun, who wrote a great book on it. Says the pipe bombs were discovered with perfect timing to distract, divide, and deplete. The American people demand the truth, and soon those responsible must be held accountable. She was not working alone, obviously. He says, "I'm anxiously waiting a statement from the FBI, hello, and full disclosure of their investigative efforts into J6 and the pipe bomb. We've waited far too long for answers." And this may be the source of the entire operation of J6. Now, somebody came out and posted this. They deleted it when I refreshed over here, but they said this is all being confirmed by the DOJ and the FBI. It's not. Ed Martin said this is false. Neither Mr. Martin nor the DOJ has made this determination. Okay, so nothing official from Ed Martin as of last night. Also keeping our eye on what Kash Patel is up to and whether he will be commenting on this today. And let's see if we got anything new from him. Answer no. 18 hours ago is the latest from the FBI director. Now we have Barry Loudermilk commenting on this. Kyle Seraphin said that Kash was over just in China, apparently. Says while the FBI director is flying home from a random China tip, Steve Baker and the Blaze and this guy also cracked the biggest priority case ever. Hopefully they get 500 grand. That's how you know they had no idea. So this dude Kash is apparently, FBI director flying home as well. Now, other problems here saying that from the Just the News website that numerous confidential informants told the FBI that there was going to be armed conflict at the Capitol and that intelligence was not dispersed aggressively enough to force a change in security. Representative Barry Loudermilk, who's on the new J6 committee that no one's even talking about or paying attention to, they put him in a closet too. He said he was floored to see the specificity of threats and the consistency in the warnings that many CHS people said that there was going to be a problem that day. Said the intelligence came weeks and days in advance, and I was surprised to find that a lot of these were coming from people embedded in these organizations. Said there's no way that at least the Washington field office or the FBI headquarters was not aware of these elements. There were elements of people coming to DC with the intent of attacking the Capitol. Now, who were these people? Georgia lawmaker credited Cash and Pam for opening up some info, but he said, I can tell you unequivocally, they had to know that there was something bad that was going to happen. They wanted it to. When pressed, Loudermilk said he was waiting to have documents further declassified, but there were groups planning armed attacks, and there were elements, not every group that were there, but there were certain groups that were planning an armed attack. One of my concerns about this, I'm just going to speak for my own self, said Barry, I think we need to run this down. It could have changed the security posture. And they were warning about right-leaning groups, Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, but there were concerns about Antifa all the way down here. The answer is yes, there were concerns that Antifa would be embedded in the crowds too. There were several references, again, not just isolated to one, but several references that Antifa would be embedded in the crowd. So strange stuff happening as well there. Loudermilk is digging into it. Here is what he told Just the News very recently.
It is amazing the amount of information that started flowing and the truths that we're starting to get that we were denied. Now, the last time we talked, you were hoping to go in and take a look at some of these informant reports. We had 26 FBI informants in the crowd, and it looks like they were informing quite a bit beforehand. Now, I know some of this is classified, so you can't give us specifics, but were those informants providing more stark information about the dangers that could have happened on January 6th, and was that not getting to the right people?
Well, that is the question that we had when, first of all, that I went and I looked at redacted copies of these confidential human sources reports, and then the FBI stepped up and allowed me to come over to the FBI building. It's actually been during the shutdown that I went over and was able to sit down. And if there's been any positive side of the shutdown, it's that I've actually had more time to spend on this investigation. So I spent a good part of the day at the FBI looking at the unredacted reports. And what we want to look for is, what did the FBI know? When did they know it? And what did they do with the information? And what was the information? And I can tell you unequivocally, they had to know there was something not only bad going to happen, but the reports coming from these confidential human sources, not just one, multiple sources from multiple organizations across multiple field offices across the nation were reporting the same thing, that not only was there going to be violence in Washington, D.C. at the Capitol on January 6th, most of the reports were it was going to be a whole lot worse than what actually it turned out to be. And so I suspected we would find information. I was surprised that we found this significant intelligence that was derived from these people embedded in these organizations. There is no way that at least the Washington field office or the FBI headquarters was not aware that there were elements, not the entire crowd, there were elements of people coming to Washington, D.C. with the intent of attacking the Capitol of the United States. What I also found out is that is really the only intelligence that we can see that the FBI relied upon, because I've asked several times, what other intelligence did they derive? Did they get intelligence from other agencies like as Homeland Security, Department of Defense, the CIA, the intelligence community as a whole? And the answer I'm getting is no. And then my question was, what intelligence reports were sent out? And that's what we're looking for right now, because we're really having a hard time finding really any tangible reports that were sent to the Capitol Police or other agencies. And so my question is, what did they know? When did they know it? And what did they do with the information? We do now know what they did know. The question is, what did they do with it?
Nothing. Apparently, they enabled a diversion and all of the bike racks even. I mean, we heard, I think from Stephen's son, that even basic protocols like having bike racks there to direct people were being moved around. The whole building was left wide open. We saw on video one officer inside the Capitol come and tap another officer on the shoulder. They stand aside and the crowd comes waltzing in. All those people now committing crimes. Ridiculous.